So my name is Becky and I'm here to facilitate a podcast for the Care Leavers Association. My personal experience of coming into contact with the Care Leavers Association was through a guy called Darren Coyne, and it's actually Darren who is the person that really has brought us all here today. I'm joined by Aisha and Laura, who in a moment will speak about their initial meetings with Darren and how they've been connected into this work. But just acknowledging the significance of Darren's work in this area and him personally in each of our lives is where the three of us have chosen to begin the podcast. So whilst he's no longer with us, I think this is the bit he'd be listening hard for. Hey up, Darren, this bit is for you. I met Darren 10 years ago as a researcher in and around Manchester, looking into projects that connect into and out of the criminal justice system. I met Darren at an event, and our shared Huddersfield, West Yorkshire heritage was the starting point of what became a really deeply valuable sort of mentorship and just ongoing dialogue. And from this point forward in the podcast, you won't hear much of my voice because I am a facilitator, but this podcast is about creating a space for those with experience of care and of the criminal justice system to lead work that opens up questions and responses to people who have had those experiences of the care and criminal justice pathway. So Darren's work was very much about user-led work, and I'm here to facilitate really this project that is being led by Aisha and Laura today. So how about we start, and Laura, do you want to just speak about how you first met Darren and also the kind of the impact meeting him has had on your life and experience?
Yeah, so I first met Darren in Newhall Prison where I volunteered on a Friday afternoon for the Care Leavers Association as a care leavers advocate. At the time, that was a group of care leavers. There was ideally one on every wing, and they were the first point of contact for care leavers currently within the system and care leavers that had post-21. So we helped the women access their files and to make contact with social services agencies regarding requests for accommodation, education and clothing, etc. upon release. So whilst I was working with Darren, we actually arranged for a joint event to be held between Newhall Prison and Ascombe Grange, where various policy makers and directors from social services, people like that, were going to come. What struck me about Darren was I just loved the fact that here was a male care leaver advocating for female care leavers' rights in prison. Like, I thought, I could understand him helping men, but for me it was interesting to find that he was just as concerned with, in fact, if not more, concerned with how female care leavers were treated in the criminal justice system. So it was great being a part of that volunteering experience, but I guess, if I'm being honest, Darren, it's sad in a way, but it's nice in another way, has actually impacted me personally more in depth. I've come into contact with yourself, Becky, and Aisha. I'm sat here doing this now. I've been offered a further opportunity with the women in prisons, and that is all because I met Darren Coyne. I wouldn't be sat here right now. None of us would be doing any of this if it wasn't for Darren. So I'm just really grateful to him for that, and to the Care Leavers Association for having me involved. So yeah, he gave me some self-worth in prison and a bit of purpose as well, and I don't think I'll ever forget him.
Thank you. Thanks, Laura. What about you, Aisha? What would you sort of reflect on in terms of meeting Darren?
So, Darren was different. He wasn't like any other professional that you'd meet, especially in the care system. He'd meet you and he'd tell you about his own experience in care, and you'd realise very quickly that he'd had a really tough life growing up, but the world was against him and he beat it. He carried on and he succeeded. Everything he said he was going to do, like go to university, he did. Even after going to prison, he absolutely smashed life. So just the way he was, the way he'd speak to you, he would never speak down to you. He'd just sit there and he'd understand and he'd give you a voice. to people that you'd never get to speak to if you hadn't met him. So I met him after about a year. He gave me a job when I was 15, £10 an hour. Very, very happy about that. We went to the House of Lords. We met a lot of lords and ladies, and he gave us a voice. But every time when we walked out of the rooms, he'd say, not one person in there listened. And when you think about it, that hits hard, because most of his life, his working life, was committed to helping people in care. And even to this day, the people that are in charge still don't listen.
I just wanted to add to that, you know, he also showed me what is potentially what I could make of myself. You could see he'd made a success, even though he'd been through care, he'd been through abuse, he'd been through this, that and that. He, like Aisha's just said, he did everything he wanted to do and he wanted to achieve, and he showed you that that's possible, even if you have been in care, even if you have been in prison. There is still somebody that might value you in this world, or at least your opinion.